So we are continue reading the science of psychic healing. Stroking is so we're in the middle of chapter 7, the practice of pranic healing. Stroking is a form of treatment that is very beneficial in directing the circulation and equalizing it when there appears to be a tendency toward imperfect circulation, etc. It has a sedative, soothing effect and is a very good method to use in winding up or terminating a treatment. Stroking should be applied by bringing the tips of the fingers in a very light contact with the body of the patient over the affected parts or over the entire body. It should always be performed in a downward or outward direction and never in an upward or inward direction. It should be performed in one direction and not to and fro. The tips of the fingers are to be moved gently over the body with a very light contact, not even the weight of the hand being allowed to bear upon the patient. Lightness, gentleness, and airiness are the words best describing the movement. A little practice will give the student the right movement. If you desire to stroke the entire body of the patient, it is well to divide the process into two distinct treatments. That is, from the head down to the waist, and 2, from the waist down to the feet. And giving the general stroking treatment to the whole body, it is well to devote considerable attention to the chest and abdominal region in order that the organs be stimulated and their magnetism equalized. It is well also to remember that the old and tried principle of rubbing is another mode of communicating vital force or prana. This form of treatment is as old as the race and has been practiced in all times and by all peoples. Albani reports in his work entitled De Medicine Egyptiantorium that the Egyptian priests were adepts at certain mystical and medical rubbings, which form of treatment was used by them in curing chronic diseases. Hippocrates held rubbings in high favor and evidently employed them very frequently. He has written as follows: a doctor ought to know many things. He should not be unacquainted with the benefits to be derived from rubbing. With its application, quite contrary effects may be produced. It loosens stiff joints and gives tone and strength to those which are relaxed. Celsus, nearly 2,000 years ago, was a vigorous advocate of this method of treatment, and in his books he devotes much space to this form of vital treatment and incidentally proves that it was known and practiced long before his time. In ancient Rome, rubbing was a favorite form of treatment and was employed regularly by the wealthy in order to keep in good condition, a practice that is followed by many wealthy people of our times under the name of massage, etc. Alexander of Tralles, a Greek physician of the 6th century, was an initiate in the mystic rubbings and incorporated it in his practice. He claimed that it helped to throw off morbid matter and calm the nervous system and facilitated perspiration. He also held that it tended to calm convulsions and was efficacious in a number of complaints. He wrote much on the subject and agreed with Hippocrates that these secret rubbings should be imparted only to sacred persons and not allowed to become the property of the profane. Peter Barral, the physician to Louis XIII of France, reports that one de Gausse, a clerk of the court at Nimes, healed multitudes of people by rubbing their limbs. And in our own time, massage is a deservedly popular form of treatment, and the new school of osteopathy is growing in favor. In both of these forms of practice, outside of any particular virtue due to the particular merits claimed by the respective practitioners, there is great benefit derived from the transmitting of the vital force from healer to patient, whether the practitioner admits this to be the case or not. In rubbing, for the purpose of stimulating the parts by vital force, the healer should be gentle in his movements, force not being desirable or necessary, as the effects is gained by passing of vitality to the parts not by the mere manipulation. In applying this form of treatment, the palm of the hands and the lower part of the fingers should be used. The tips of the fingers and the end of the thumb should be turned back. Healers have a fleshy lower part of the thumb, may use its palmar surface effectively in this treatment. The movement should be made downward. Some practitioners use a slightly different movement from that above indicated, inasmuch as they make a peculiar pressure with the flat ends of their fingers, following after the pressure of the palm of the hands. Students may follow either plan as may seem preferable to them. Some healers claim to get the best results from this employment of the finger ends, while others carefully avoid the use of the same. In each case, it has been noticed that the particular form of treatment is used because the healer feels that the vital force is best conveyed by his particular form of treatment. It seems to be a matter of feeling on the part of the healer, and this peculiar feeling is a safe rule to follow, and it manifests itself to all persons after they begin to give treatments. Another form of treatment, known as rotary motion, has been found to be very efficacious by a number of healers. It consists in a circular rubbing movement of the left hand and fingers, as above described, over the affected parts. The movements should always be made in the direction of the movement of the hands of a watch, and never in a reverse direction. This movement produces activities of the cells and is useful in cases of sluggish functioning. Another form of treatment is known as kneading and is found valuable in cases of stiffened muscles, rheumatism, etc., in which the trouble is local and not organic. Kneading is accomplished by grasping the muscles or tissues and working them against the adjacent surfaces. It is composed of 3 different forms, that is surface kneading, palmar kneading, and digital kneading. Surface kneading is practically a pinching movement and consists in grasping the skin firmly between the thumb and forefinger, and then lifting it up a little, and then releasing it and letting it fly back to its normal condition. The 2 hands are used alternately, the one picking up the skin as the other drops it, the surface being gone over in a systematic manner. This is quite a stimulating treatment and is very beneficial in cases of poor circulation, etc. Palmar kneading is performed with the whole hand. The healer grasps the flesh or muscle with the palm of his hand, with fingers close together and the thumb out. Do not use the thumb, but grasp the flesh between the palm of the hand and the fingers, the lower part of the palm, called the heel of the hand, and the fleshy part of the thumb being used in the movement. Hold the flesh firmly and do not allow it to slip. Knead deeply so as to reach well into the muscles and flesh. The muscle or flesh should be thoroughly worked and yet not sufficiently to produce soreness. Do not use too much force, but be gentle and yet firm. Use the hands alternately. There are a number of variations in this movement, which will come to the healer as he practices. He will feel that his hands are alive, and he will feel instinctively the best way to impart that life. Digital kneading is performed by grasping the flesh between the finger and the thumb and gently rubbing it against the other flesh or bone. In cases where stimulation is thought advisable, one may give forms of percussion treatment, of which several are here mentioned. In giving this treatment, the wrist should be kept flexible and loose, a stiff wrist being guarded against. The percussion should be elastic and springy, avoiding all roughness or bruising. The first method of administering percussion may be called the pounding movement, which consists in striking the body with the inside flat surface of the half-closed fist, the heel of the hands and the closed ends of the fingers coming into contact with the flesh. The second method of administering percussion may be called the slapping movement, which consists of a chopping movement of the hands, which is held open with the fingers held together, the blow being made with the little finger side of the hands, the hand being likened to a butcher's cleaver employed in chopping. The fingers are held loosely together, coming together in a vibratory movement when the blow strikes. The third method may be called the slapping method, in which the hand applies a slapping or spanking blow, the fingers being held rigid. The fourth method may be called the clapping method, in which the hand is held in a hollow shape so as to give forth a hollow sound, the position being similar to that employed by some people in a theater when they wish to make a loud hollow sound with their hands in applauding. A little practice will perfect one in this movement. The fifth method may be called tapping. The fifth method may be called the tapping method and consists in holding the tips of the fingers in each hand and then tapping the body using the hands alternately. A favorite method of administering chronic or vital force treatments is what is known as the vibrational treatment and consists of a series of vibrating movements of the healer's hands. The fingers are usually employed in giving this treatment. The fingers are placed firmly over the part to be treated, and then a fine trembling or vibrating movement is communicated to the hand by the muscles of the arm. The movement is acquired by practice and is somewhat difficult at first. It is a most powerful form of treatment, and the patient feels it like a current of electricity. You must not press upon the body with your wrist, and no more than the weight of the hand should be felt by the patient. When the vibrational treatment is properly applied, the vibrations should permeate the region treated, so that if the other hand should be placed under the body, the vibrations should be perceptible. Some teachers have instructed their pupils in this form of treatment by placing a glass of water on the table and instructing the student to make the vibrational movements on the table. When the proper motion is acquired, the water will merely quiver in the center and not move from side to side. We urge the student to give the necessary time and attention to vibrational treatment, as when once acquired, it will be found wonderfully efficacious. The breath treatment has been used by many healers with wonderful effect. This form of treatment also has been known from prehistoric times. Arnaud informs us that the Egyptians used this method in the treatment of disease with great success, and some claim that it was superior to stroking or laying on of the hands. Merklin, in his Tractus Medicophysis, tells of a case in which a young child, apparently lifeless, was restored to life and strength by the breath of an old woman. Borel tells of a sect in one part of India who cured sickness by this method, and there are in India today certain priests who breathe on the sick and seem to impart new life and vigor to them. Borel, who lived about 1650 AD, tells of a case in which a servant brought to life the apparently dead body of his master by bringing upon him, and adds quaintly, it is astonishing that the breath of man should produce such results when we read that God breathed into the body of Adam to give him life. It is a fraction of this divine breath which even today can bring back health to the sick. In Spain, there are persons called ensalmadores who heal by the saliva and by the breath. I might pause here. Whoops, this is a pretty long chapter. Oh wait, it's almost over. Somehow muted myself. There are two general methods employed by healers in breath treatment. The first is generally known as hot insufflation, which consists of placing over the affected part a clean towel or napkin and then pressing the half-open mouth close up to the body so that the breath cannot escape. Then breathe slowly but firmly, as if you were causing the breath to penetrate the body. The towel will become very warm and the patient will plainly feel the heat. Another form of giving this treatment is to hold the lips at a distance. nearly an inch from the body, and to breathe upon it just as one does in winter to warm its hands. The second plan consists in puckering up the lips and blowing the breath from a distance of a foot or more, just as if you were trying to blow out a candle. This has a calming effect and may even produce drowsiness. It is also useful in clearing a congested head caused by overstudy, etc. Treatments by the eye is also much in favor by some healers who use it in the following manner. They allow their gaze to sweep over the person's or the affected part and literally bathe the patient in their rays. Vital force is oftentimes imparted by means of intermediate objects such as handkerchiefs, etc., which have been magnetized or treated just as if the persons themselves were being treated. To treat or magnetize an object, such as a handkerchief, etc., the healer must make the passes over it until he feels that it is surcharged, when he may discontinue his efforts. The object, when worn by the patient, seems to radiate its magnetism gradually, until after several days it seems to be exhausted. Some magnetize the object by holding it between their hands for a time. Giving the several treatments, it is well to always conclude by giving the stroking treatment before described. This leaves the patient soothed and calmed down and quieted. Never fail to quiet down the patient after a treatment. These things will soon come intuitively to the healer, and after all, there is something that cannot be taught except one's own experience. And no two healers follow just the same methods. Do not be afraid to follow your intuitive sense in this direction. I know that was a lot of information, but we can always go back if something like sparked your interest. You could always reread the chapter. I thought so much during that. Like I was thinking, like, I used to not love massages and now I do, and I think they're so important to go. I go and get a massage, and it's not even just like a relaxing thing. Like it's important for my body to like get my muscles worked on, and for the circulation and for the health of my muscles. And even in the Ayurvedic, and Amanda could talk more about this, but like it, every morning when it's sock weather, which it's sock weather now, I keep my body butter right here. And before I join this, I give my feet like a body massage. Like self-massage is important. And then the
Didn't it say something about like
go ahead.
Go.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, wasn't it saying something about like parts of the stomach or like that was important? I don't know if that makes any sense. Sorry.
No, I don't. I'm sure we've been talking about the stomach and how important the stomach is for our health. It's like our main health. It like supports all our main health. So yeah, massage definitely helps the stomach.
Or to cleanse the body. It was like saying like to push down.
Yeah.
It sounds like a lymphatic drainage.
Yeah. It's like it like unstucks things.
Mm-hmm. A part of my teacher training was massage before and after class.
Yeah.
And they like taught us what areas, like how to massage when someone's laying in Shavasana, and like just like kind of cradling their head without having them put effort. Like it's still a relaxing moment. So it's kind of before the Shavasana.
Yeah.
And then before practice, like with a muscle cream and just like introducing this is pre-COVID, but I still do it in my privates. I like put a mask on and I ask, like, are you okay with it? I think it's really nice. Yeah. Like some people don't have like physical touch too. I think there's something to be said about that too.
Oh, and that's a huge part of it, like connecting, like having that touch. And Amanda was even doing at the start of COVID, she was having us touch our, like, just getting skin to skin contact on ourselves, just like walking our hands through our fingers. Because when I think we read the Hatha Yoga, and we had like Thai massage and like hands-on adjustments for Savasana and stuff like that, like what you're talking about. But with COVID, you can't COVID, we couldn't do that. And we weren't even in person, we were virtual. So like just teaching people that you can do it yourself. And Amanda's big on Marma points. Like she'll give you a whole like Marma point training where she'll tell you where to put your fingers, and like you can really release energy that way, or blockages.
That sounds so cool. I've never heard of that.
Yeah. I like the what was the other one? She said the one at the end with the eye. I'm like, I've done that so many times, but in a very negative way. And like to think about the power of eye healing the way they just described it, and the way I use my eyes in a very negative Manhattan whatsoever way, where like I'm so judgmental, and to think about the energy I'm exchanging in that, I'm hoping I don't do that as much anymore, especially since I'm not around anybody. But like, how many times you like look at someone and you check them out from head to toe and you're just judge. But if we did it in a more healing way, where we're like scanning over somebody and we're just sending them like love and energy, I think that's so beautiful to be able to do that.
I've done that before, like the subway. Like if I'm bored, I'll like make up stories about people, like in my head, like, or like I'll say I'll see in a nice way, I'll see a couple, and I'm like, oh, they're so cute. They probably met in college, and then now they're like have jobs together, and they're still in love. How cute is that? And like, I don't know, like but if I see something that I'm like kind of put off by, then it's probably not as nice as that.
Yeah. And then
the guy probably cheats with his girlfriend.
I don't know if you guys have watched that movie Green Mile with Tom Hanks, but the prisoner in it heals the guy's wife by breathing on her, or by, actually it wasn't breathing, it was almost like he was sucking in. He like sucked in. So I was thinking it was more breath, but I guess it's still breath. It was just more of an inhale versus an exhale. But that's how he like cures her, is by sucking out the bad, the cancer or whatever she has. So yeah, I just think it's so interesting. And like, even when we're reading this, like sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm never gonna memorize all of this, but I just like getting the gist of it, and it's always something I can go back to, or I can be like, this interests me, I want to take more training on it or whatever. Because you can always sign up for like masseuse training, and every time I go get a massage, I'm like, I really need to sign up, because like they're so smart. I think they're just so smart. They know where to like, how to work the body. All right. If anyone has anything else to share or questions, and then we can move on to breath and meditation. I do want to make announcement that starting first of all, it's October 1st. Whoop, whoop. Like that beautiful color month. As much as I love summer, there's just something about fall. New updates to Rev's schedule, so check online. I think there's more classes added in person at the studio. From what I understand, props are coming back, so we'll have blocks again. And for restorative, there'll be bolsters covered with pillowcases that will be washed after every use. So I'm really excited for that. Just a reminder, I'm there every Sunday at 4:30. It's a free class. It's open to everybody, members and non-members. You just come. It's a donation-based class, so if you want to donate, right now all donations are going toward the studio, but I'm there every Sunday, and it's also virtual, so you can always just pop on this same link. And I'm also adding a class on Friday starting next week. It's a paid class, but it's called Happiness Hour Yoga, and it's just an hour at 5:45 to 6:45. It'll be in studio and virtual, and it's just going to be like an open level class. I'll teach vinyasa. If you need to come and be in a restorative shape, I'll put you in a restorative shape depending how your week was. And then there'll be some sort of like interactive activity that you can either do there or bring home with you, like a journal prompt or a mandala or chakra card or something. I used to take Sujean's 5:30 yoga class at Revolution, and I just loved it to end my work week and to start my weekend. So I just want to bring it back at least through fall and winter.
Ooh, when does that start? Not today.
Next Friday, I think it's the 8th at 5:45.
Yay. I'll
Yeah.
be there.
I'm excited for it. And I'll probably like move with you guys. I can be part of it. And if paying for yoga is a struggle for you right now and you want to be there on Friday, you can reach out to me individually and I'll help subsidize the cost. I don't want yoga to be a financial boundary for anybody, but at the same time, it is a business, but I'm happy to help get you into the class. So if we want to move on to breath work, we will find a straight, strong spine. So we will either sit straight. I like to prop myself up on a block to get my hips above my knees. Make sure there's no pressure in the knees. We should not feel any crunching in the knees. If you want to put yourself against the wall so that you can feel supported behind you, that's okay too. If you feel like you need some cat-cows and plankings or some down dogs before you sit, move through that. If sitting in a chair or standing feels better, or even laying on your back, you've got lots of options. And once you get to whichever shape feels most comfortable for you, just starting to connect with that rhythmic nostril breathing. So lips are closed. If it feels okay, if we're stuffy, we can breathe through the mouth. As you inhale, fill up the low belly, let the belly button come out. And then exhale, pull the belly button down to the spine, letting all the air move out. Just find the count that works for you. Trying to match the inhale to the exhale. Letting the shoulders relax. If you have to lift them up to let them go, do that. Relax the face and the jaw. I've been really paying extra attention to my inhale. My brain has been a chaotic mess lately. And I spend most of the year focusing on my exhale, trying to calm myself down. But lately, really pulling in all this fresh pranic energy through my inhale and filling up, and then mentally and physically letting it go through the exhale has been really helping me. So I just want to offer that out to you. So taking an inhale and mentally imagine yourself pulling in nice, clean air. And this is why it's so fantastic to be outside when you can in nature. And then exhale, let it go. If you have to open up your mouth and let it go, you can do that too, if it feels really heavy. So you can stay with any of the breath you're working on now. If you want to move to your alternate nostril breath, you can bring your right hand to the face, close the peace fingers into the palm, or place them on the space between the eyebrows. Your right thumb will close the right nostril, and your right ring finger will close the left nostril. So we'll start by closing the right nostril with the thumb. Inhale through the left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left. We'll continue on like this a few more rounds. I'll guide you, but if you want to create your own breath count through this, you can move like you. Inhale through your left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left, inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left, inhale left, close left, exhale right, inhale right, close right, exhale left. A few more rounds on your own breath. When you feel ready, you'll exhale off the left side, release the palms down. You can set up your meditation. I'm going to set the timer for 20 minutes. If you need to drop early, have a good day and weekend. Bringing hands to heart center. Namaste. Have a beautiful day, everybody.
Thank you, Pam.
Thanks, Lauren. Bye, Sam.